To understand World War II, we must look at how it began. World War II was started by a man with a dream. That man, Adolf Hitler, and his dream was to become the greatest stand-up comedian of all time. Now, due to his racy material and over-the-top delivery, Hitler would become a very polarizing figure in the world of comedy. But whether you loved him or hated him, there was no denying the fact that he was selling out clubs. Unfortunately for Hitler, his stand-up comedy career would abruptly end with his arrest in 1923, following this fight with a heckler in a Bavarian bar.
Dass man nun, wenn man nicht zu spät kommen will, mit der Rettung einsetzen muss, habe ich mich bereit erklärt und euer Truppen, die unter des von Ziegemann.
Hitler would end up getting 7 months in prison for the assault. It was during this time that Hitler wrote his famous novel, The Diary of Mein Kampf, a story about a little Jewish girl who was violently anti-Semitic. The novel was a best-selling comedy in Germany, and Hitler would use this push in popularity to become the leader of Germany. That's right, Hitler went from felon to best-selling author to leader of his country. He was really kind of the Nelson Mandela of his time. Fun fact about Hitler, even though he was leader of Germany, he himself was not German. He was actually born an ostrich. Here's rare footage of him chasing after 2 Jews. Now, after he came to power, Hitler's main objective, as we all know, was to get his stand-up comedy career back on track. He would achieve this by getting rid of everyone who was funnier than him, and after having watched 9 solid seasons of Seinfeld, Hitler accurately assessed that the Jews had to go. So the Jews were taken out of their homes and crammed into very uncomfortable cargo trains. These trains, often referred to as Juju trains, were used to take the Jews away to concentration camps, where the Nazis would murder them in a variety of ways. We're talking harsh manual labor, experiments that were cruel and unusual, extreme fat shaming, and worst of all, many of them would be gassed to death in Dutch ovens. Now, while all of this was going down, Hitler realized that he would need to expand his market outside of Germany if he really wanted his comedy career to take off. So he would send out soldiers to neighboring countries to pass out DVDs of his latest comedy special, Furious. And if a country didn't want them, that country would be destroyed. This marketing strategy was the final push the world needed to go into complete war. The Nazis would soon have their hands full fighting a war against England, France, and France has surrendered. They just straight up let him walk into Paris. In fact, France put up such little resistance that they even let Hitler drop an experimental English mixtape while he was there, called Third Reich Life. This the Third Reich Life for us. This the Third Reich Life for us. Instead of treated, we kill Jews. Instead of kisses, we kill more Jews. This the Third Reich Life. From sitting in a cell writing to leading some of the largest wars the world has ever seen. From the top spot with the Holocaust being my murder scene. Jews know me well. So really, Nazi Germany only had to worry about fighting England, a country who refused to listen to Hitler's comedy, because they already had an original British sitcom called The Hitler, starring Ricky Gervais, which they felt had much better writing. All was looking good for Nazi Germany, until they tried to spread comedy to Soviet Russia. You see, the Russian people had a different idea of what comedy was, and that was because Joseph Stalin had taught them that comedy was watching all your loved ones starve to death. Stalin had a bit of a dark sense of humor. So understandably, the Soviets did not like the Nazis, and now Germany was sandwiched between 2 enemy countries. Oh, fun fact about the Soviet army, there's documented cases where soldiers were sent out into war without a gun. Yeah, instead they were supposed to run out onto the battlefield, find one of their fallen comrades, and use them as a weapon. And that sounds made up, but when you see how high their death count was, especially given that they were never successfully invaded, this actually makes a lot of sense. If you're using your own people as weapons and ammunitions in a war, then yeah, 20 million casualties sounds about right.